Hi everyone. I just thought today I would start to go through some ideas for a journal. And I've got several here that I'd like to show you. And I'm sure you'd be able to find something that might be interesting to you. Several years ago, I used to buy the very inexpensive sketch diary. Very, very inexpensive. And you could tell that this is old by how yellow it is and whatever. But I used to put like little quotes or ideas or something that I might see on TV. I would do little sketches of things, maybe some recipes, maybe some quotes. This was a garden plan. But anyway, that's really how I started journaling many, many years ago. It was interesting. I was looking through this not that long ago, and at one point I was asking, what is www and what is this thing called the internet? So it's nice to date things as well as you put them, as you start your journal, because looking back, you can know exactly when you created it. This is another larger one, inexpensive, had a cover like the one I just saw you, but I did paint the cover, so it's a little bit more attractive, and I painted the inside so that, it just looked a little more attractive. First, you will probably want to be sure whatever you're using, markers, watercolors, that whatever you select as a journal, that it will accommodate your markers or your watercolor paints or whatever. Now that we're safe at home, if you can't go anywhere and get anything, I saw these the other day in a drawer. If we get bills or whatever, a lot of them I pay online now, but they send a little envelope to pay your bill with. And I thought, gosh, this might be kind of a cool idea to take the flaps and put them all together and make some kind of a book, play with the holes a little bit. So you can really just use anything for a journal, anything. These are examples of homemade papers that I've done when I used to do that. But you can take, small bits of watercolor paper or drawing paper of any kind, simply put a hole in it, and something like this could very easily be a journal as well. It doesn't have to be fancy. A lot of people are taking old books, and I love old books, but a lot of them are maybe gessoing the page and then writing on top of that or painting on top of that. Some people are just drawing right on the top and letting all of these words shine through. And some people like to find words in here, circle it, and draw to the next word so that they make sentences. So they call these kind of junk journals, where you take an old book and somehow turn it into a journal. This I made, it's just a big piece of watercolor paper. I made kind of a makeshift envelope, and if I have any little scraps of watercolor paper, I, do a little doodle, a little drawing on them, and put them in. This is the little house that I certainly could keep them in. So, several years ago, I started to do a project about growing up on the farm, and farmland around here in northwest Iowa is a section, a square. And so for that project, I decided to get this little sketchbook, this little journal, and I did start kind of making notes growing up on the farm. And this little square book represented, the sections as we knew it when I was growing up. So that was nice for a little project for planning. Here's one that I've had for quite a while, but I really haven't worked in. It's very, very nice. This is a nice size that is easily carried in your purse or, in the car or whatever. It's just small. It's nice. I like the landscape of it. It's a moleskin, and it's nice as well. Has a little marker, a little tab to keep things tight. Very nice. This I got years and years ago from Judy Betts, And I really like this. What I like about it is that she's got different colors of papers in here. They're nice and sturdy papers. And she recommends watercolor pencil and felt pens. Now that's something you need to think about, you know. Will your journal that you're working on, the paper that you're working on, will it accept washes of watercolor? Will it accept, ink? So you need to be aware of that. I do caution getting any binding that is plastic like this. They have a tendency to crack very easily if you're carrying them about. She did kind of put a plastic cover on this, which is okay. I do also like that this will open pretty flat. It's nice if you can wrap this back around. If you're holding it on a plane or sitting somewhere, then this one doesn't happen to do that. But I do like the ideas of the different colored pages. Works, that's very nice. This was probably my very first, what I would call my illustrated journal. This book I really love. If I could get more of these, I definitely would. But it was given a free gift when ordering art supplies many years ago. And I've tried to find this one, but I can't. What I like especially about it is that this binding over here is covered. So it doesn't get bent, it doesn't get broken or whatever. I like that it opens flat and this will come completely around. And if you need to hold it in some way. The paper is just very, very nice. And I just really did like this paper. I really, if I could get, 5 more of these, I would really love it. Also, this is, it says in here, it's 50% cotton and 50% man-made, non-allergenic fibers. So, and it's 80-pound weight papers. Now, 80 pound is a good weight for a journal. There are some artists that get journals that have 140 pound, but I think that's a lot for a journal. It's really heavyweight paper, but it works well with watercolors or heavier inks and paints. But I think 80 pound is a good weight of paper. Read your description if you're buying a journal and make sure that it'll work for you. This was my kind of after that one. This is my second one. I do like it. It's okay. I got used to it after a while. But it did have a tendency to kind of crinkle a little bit. But it did work well, and I was able to fill it all. I did like it too because it did have a little thing here to put a pencil in. And this also folds all the way back, or it lays out flat, which is nice. So if you want to, oh, here's one that I have. It's black paper. So, and this is, I've kind of done a little more abstract things on black paper. And that's a whole nother approach to doing some work. So this one, a dear friend made many, many years ago. And she went to a library, and the card catalogs that they used to have in the libraries, where they were getting rid of all of those little cards. And she got them all and made it into paper pulp. And then she made all of these pages. And made all these papers and pages. She made the cover. She made the binding. She put it all together. Everything is handmade. She's made this complete thing. It took me a long time to work in it because I just feel that it's really kind of precious. It's just exquisite. And but I've started to work in it, and I'm basically working with flowers. As they kind of turn up in my garden, I'll have a tendency to do florals. So that's how I've started to work. And I call them kind of my awareness journals. I believe everything comes before us for a reason, to learn, to guide us, to help us through life. So many times I have an aha moment, something that alerts, calls my attention. And because I feel these moments are so very special, I need to record them, document the things that lead me forward in life, and live the way that I do. I have not been able to use this very special handmade book created by Connie until now. Now I feel I have important stuff to put onto these special pages. So that's my awareness journal. I have a tendency, I was a teacher, and I have saved lots of different kinds of paper. So one day I was going through my closet and I found this was a painting that I didn't do anything with, and I kind of decided to use it for a cover. And I put all these different kinds of paper together. Pieces of watercolor paper. This is the back of a print. Here's some graph paper that I put into the book. Just all different kinds of paper. More watercolor paper. This was just plain drawing paper. More watercolor paper. Here I was studying about apertures and shutter speeds and things. Here I was just practicing 2-point perspective, but just all on different kinds of paper. So, and then I took it to Speed Printers in Spencer, and they did the spiral binding for me. You can buy papers. These are sketchbooks by Stillman and Birn, and they're pretty expensive, but pretty famous artists use the Stillman and Birn all the time. It's a quality sketchbook. It's archival. It's this one has a vellum surface and it's a heavyweight paper, suitable for all dry material and will accept light washes. So this has 50 sheets, 100 pages, and this is a 9x12, and of course you can get them in all different sizes. So I don't like the vellum surface. If I ever get the vellum again, if I get another sketchbook of theirs, I definitely won't I won't buy the vellum. It just is too slick, and it's okay for drawing, pen and ink, colored pencil, but for watercolors it's just ripples quite a bit. This is another Stillman and Birn, and it is more suitable for watercolor paintings, and it is a heavier. This is probably 140 pound paper, and since there's more paper, heavier, it probably doesn't have as many as that other one. They're spendy, but they're really nice. It's a heavy cover. It opens up flat. You can fold this back. It just works out really nicely. I made these two. This is a print of mine, and I think I have 1,000 of the prints, and I will probably never sell them all. So what I've done is I made these little journals. I made covers, a sturdy cover. I've talked about my awareness journal. And these pages are all kind of a cardstock. I have a stack of the paper that I used this for at one time, and now I'm not. So this would be for like ink, ballpoint pen. Definitely not for watercolor or washes with water or at all. But I have one here that's a portrait format, and then this one is landscape format. So, but again, this would only be like for ink. This one is a bit strange, but it started out with a 22 by 30 inch sheet of watercolor paper, and the way you cut it and fold it, it ends up into a book, kind of a folding book. I took this to the Grand Canyon. My husband was gonna ride a donkey down, and I thought the donkey's down into the canyon one day, and I was gonna have more time to work on little sketches of the canyon. So I made this. I put a sturdier cover on it. It's not very pretty. And then here were our tags on our luggage. But it opens up and it kind of lays flat, and it folds like this. It's kind of doubled up, so if you want to put mementos in some of these pages, you can. But the thing is, you can turn it over, and then you can work on the other side as well, like this. So it's just kind of a handy little thing that I took on a trip, but never got it filled. And this one I took from a class up at Madeline Island. It was all about journaling from, I can't think of her name right now, I'm sorry. But we started from scratch. We had paper, we did a little drawing for the cover. We made all these different pages, little ideas of drawings. We used washi tape to kind of put everything all together. And we learned how to do different things like stamping, and she showed us how to do fold outs like this. This was Madeline Island, and I was in that little cabin right there. It's a little, she had us do a pencil drawing. We went to the museum and sat and drew some things. We did some jelly printing. But anyway, this was this is from the scratch. We just started with paper and built this. So I think these have given you some ideas as to what's out there, what's available, what you can do for a journal. I suggest, oh gosh, just jump in. These are unprecedented times, and I imagine we all have a lot to say, and I encourage you to start if you haven't already. Thanks. Bye.